This chapter teaches us a very important lesson. It's easier said than done when it comes to making a new symbol. Endeavor asks All Might a very important question. What should I do? What should I do to become what you were? The symbol of peace. At first glance, when you look at this question, many might say, just be like All Might. Act like All Might. Act like how he has been doing and operating since the very beginning. If you act like All Might, then you could be like him and be the symbol of peace that the public needs. Crime rate will drop, and public opinion of you will increase. And this was something that many might be talking about for a while, like, should Endeavor act like All Might? And All Might gives him some advice. And the advice that All Might gives is very insightful and expands upon All Might's character and lets us understand what All Might's really been thinking of since he is kind of like fallen from grace. I mean, he went out with a blaze of glory, but he no longer is that pillar. We know that. He is no longer the symbol of peace. He is no longer the #1 hero. He is no longer being able to be a hero. He is just now someone that's able to watch over kids and help out Izuku. That's basically his only goal right now. He's just like a mentor. And, you know, we all know he's not really that good at being a mentor. He has a lot to work on. That's been a big thing about his character. But I don't want to get into that. I want to talk about the insight to All Might's character when it comes to how he views his hero work and what he's been doing over the years. So, when you reach a certain point in your life, I think when, like, you get to around what All Might has done, you probably have a lot of time to think. Because we gotta remember that All Might, he lost the only thing that he's been doing for a long time, being a hero. And now he no longer can really be a hero. And so, now, being stripped from his title and no longer really having anything to be able to be a hero, he's had time to think. I mean, with the whole stuff with Night Eye, to, you know, what's going on with Izuku, to, you know, how he's pushed everybody away around him, he's had a lot of time to think about everything. And with, you know, thinking about your past, there's a lot of time for regrets. And this lets us know that this time for All Might, when now he is no longer being able to be a hero, he's had a lot of time to think about things he's done and what he could have done differently, and he is showing regret. And regret is a very, very powerful emotion. It's a very powerful emotion in anybody, and many people, I think, in their life have regrets. I have regrets, and I think many of you out there that are currently watching this video probably have regrets too that you have probably done you wish you could take back. In this case, All Might, since he's had so much time to really think about it, since now he no longer has his quirk, he no longer can be a hero, he's not the #1 hero, he's not the symbol of peace, obviously he has a lot to, you know, think about and regret. In this case, when he's thinking about all the stuff he's done, he tells Endeavor, I don't think you should try to be like me. And this is some truly exceptional advice. I think out of all the stuff that All Might has ever done in terms of trying to be a mentor or a teacher, I think this is the first time he's actually shown that he could be a very good teacher. Because he actually gave real good advice to Endeavor. This advice was straight from the heart. All Might did not sugarcoat it. He did not lie. He just straight up said like it is and says, Endeavor, don't try to be like me. Don't try to be like what I was, my symbol of peace. Be something else. Don't try to be like how I was as the #1 hero. And the reason why he thinks about that is because he pushed everybody away. He was alone. And when you really look at it, All Might is very, very alone. He had the public opinion. He had everybody on his side cheering for him. Crime rate was down. I mean, everybody loved All Might. Everybody in the public, they loved All Might. Everybody does to this day. However, even though that is now gone, he is technically alone. Everyone that, you know, he could have possibly had as friends, like, you know, sidekicks or anything, he pushed that all away to focus on his one goal, which was to be a hero. And when you look at this, it also rings very true to what All Might said to Izuku. Don't be like me. Don't act like me. Don't try to be like me. Don't try to be like All Might. You know, be your own hero. Be your own person. That was advice that All Might gave Izuku a long time ago, and this kind of clarifies why he said that. The regret he has and what he has done, he now knows, and he's giving proper teachings to the next generation of heroes, and also Endeavor. And so, when you really look at this, Endeavor, he has a lot on his shoulders, and as I said, I don't think Endeavor, he could possibly ever get fully redeemed for what he has done. For what he has done to Todoroki, and then the wife and all that, there's just no way that he could ever be redeemed, in my personal opinion, especially for what he's done. However, he could become a little bit more likable, and he could go on to the path of redemption. And when you really look at Endeavor as a character, he has a lot just thrown onto his shoulders. Number one, as I've already stated, Endeavor didn't technically win the #1 hero title. He didn't get that title like he wanted. His overall objective and goal was to beat All Might in a contest of strength, to prove that he was stronger than All Might. Now, eventually he realized he could not do that, so he wanted to use Todoroki to overcome that. Now, after all the horrible things he did to Todoroki, and then also the wife and all that, or the mother of Todoroki, he realized, like, it was all for nothing, and he's had a lot of time to reflect on this. He lost that goal, which was All Might, to beat All Might. He no longer can actually figure out if his son ever got stronger than All Might, because he no longer has his quirk. He is no longer the #1 hero. And it wasn't because Endeavor beat him or Todoroki beat him. Just All Might had to step down. And so he lost that objective. He lost that final stretch of the goal. But though, to go actually a step further, when you really look at it, also, you have it to where he realizes now that he has so much weight now. He realizes that being #1, it's very hard. It's more than just a title. You have everybody looking at you, comparing you to others, for instance, All Might, and expecting things from you. And even though Endeavor has proved that he's a very good hero, like he's good at his work, does he have what it takes to be the #1 hero, to be the next symbol, the pillar for society? And that is the advice he was asking from All Might. What should he do? And All Might clarifies to him, like, look, I know what the public is saying. I know many on the news and all that, they're all saying that, you know, they're comparing you to me. You should be your own person, your own hero. Take my advice here. And I do like that aspect of Endeavor realizing now the weight of being #1, and it's not that easy. And he realizes crime rate is going up, and he just needs to figure out, you know, a way to handle it. And All Might's like, you need to figure out your own path. You need to figure out what you want, what you need to do to be able to be that next pillar. So, good stuff. Overall, I like the insight to All Might and Endeavor's character, and seeing how Endeavor is trying to change and better himself. Like I said, I don't think he's going to get fully redeemed, but he is on the path of becoming a likable dude. So I am looking forward to seeing where Horikoshi wants to take his character. So moving over into the actual big parts of the chapter, let's talk about Bakugo and Todoroki's upbringing. Horikoshi gives us a very good insight into Todoroki and Bakugo and how they kind of understand each other. In a way, how Bakugo understands Todoroki. And he's able to comprehend the difference between what is slightly acceptable in some cultures and what isn't acceptable in all cultures. And what I'm talking about is the physical abuse that Bakugo obviously went through, and also the emotional abuse that Todoroki went through. There was a quick little panel in this chapter when Bakugo was trying to figure out what should be done to the kids. He saw Todoroki, you know, say, like, let me handle it my way. And then he thought of, like, that hallway scene where, you know, Todoroki realized Todoroki had some emotional damage. He remembered that, which shows that Bakugo is fully aware of what is acceptable and what isn't. There is a limit to certain violence that should be put on kids. And in this case, he realized that what Todoroki went through was definitely not acceptable at all. He realized that, and that's why he let Todoroki stand up and say what he wanted to say to the children, which shows that Bakugo understands the level of, you know, what's pushing it and what's just completely, no, just get that out of here. I like that. I like seeing how Bakugo is able to comprehend stuff like that, but it also shows that how much he recognizes and understands Todoroki as a person. It does show that he has some line of respect for Todoroki, too, for even allowing him to step up and handle it his own way. But anyways, let's talk about the upbringing of these two individuals. Number one, Bakugo, his overall upbringing, we know from what we've seen from flashbacks to how he handled with Izuku and all that, what he did to Izuku, we know how his upbringing was. We know he was a little snot and all that brat, and he was just someone that did not have the stern discipline that you should need. And in this case, we have seen that he has been disciplined, but not in a way that probably is the best for him. And we do get to see the different ways of disciplining a child in this chapter. For instance, Bakugo is a child that stems from the old generation of discipline, and in some cultures, in Eastern culture, if I believe, and some parts of Western culture, there is some places that do believe that, physically laying your hand on a child, for instance, slapping them, smacking them, wearing them out with a switch or a belt, that will cause them to be a better person. And in some ways, maybe. But in others, I doubt it. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to judge a culture or anything like that. I'm just saying that overall, Horikoshi was tackling both ways of handling and how certain levels of abuse can really mess with a child's upbringing. We can clearly see what has happened to Bakugo with his physical abuse, which wasn't extreme physical abuse, obviously. It does seem when we see flashbacks of Bakugo that he loved his family, he cared about his family, he was happy in his flashbacks, but because of certain things he learned to be a little bit more harsher or violent, and it led to his mentality, and probably why he picked on Izuku in the first place. Let's talk about that. So he states that he was, hit or smacked when he was a kid, basically to get back in line and be, good or, be a well-disciplined child. And it does seem like he understands that level, like what's acceptable and what isn't, thanks to, Todoroki. However, because of this upbringing, he realized if someone is misbehaving or someone is not acting right, then, they should get smacked, get slapped, beat around or whatever until they are, back in line again. Which would explain his mentality and why he acted like he did to Izuku. The reason why he treated Izuku like he did was, number one, his family, his sister, his mother, and all of them, basically, they were kind of like bullies to him. They were, putting him in line and all that, disciplining him, which kind of caused this bully mentality of Bakugo. But then, when he realized that someone was acting out or acting different, not acting like they should, then he realized that they needed to be, physically disciplined, which in this case, that's what he did to Izuku. So this explains his mentality and why he acted like he did throughout all of those years, and why he's a little bit unbalanced, so to say, with handling people around him. So we can see that that type of, discipline did not help him entirely. Now, there could be other cases of this, but that's where Horikoshi was obviously trying to take that message there, showcasing that Bakugo's upbringing led to how he is right now, and has messed with him ever since. And then Todoroki, we already know how he is. I mean, when we look at his character, Todoroki, his personality-wise, he's a much better person, okay? I'm not saying I don't like Bakugo. I'm not saying he's not a cool character or a good dude or whatever. He's a kind-hearted individual. Deep down, we know he's a good man, okay? We know Bakugo is a good man. But when we look at the exterior of these two individuals and all that, it's obvious that Todoroki, he's a more disciplined individual that understands others and is willing to be nicer, gentler to others, and not cause harm to them. We can see that from how he acts to others. However, his upbringing also caused a very distinct issue with him, which is also formed from the type of emotional abuse he received from his family. In this case, he is a very isolated individual. He is someone that is disconnected. He is someone that does not know how to communicate with others. We have seen this with Ida, Izuku, and all of them. We have seen this, how he does not know how to properly talk with others, and he's just finally starting to break out of that shell and trying to talk with others. We have seen this very recently, and even in Season 2 in the anime. We have seen that. And so we get to see why he acts like he does. The reason why he's such a good-natured individual, why he treats people kind of with respect, is because of the discipline he received, which is still not a good thing because of what he received is now why he's so isolated and he doesn't really know how to handle people. He doesn't know how to interact with them, which makes it very awkward because when you think of a hero should be able to interact with others. They should be able to communicate with the public, communicate with random strangers to make them happy, and he really can't do that. He may be able to save people, but he doesn't know how to communicate with them, and that's what this was also showing, the different levels here. Bakugo, his upbringing being very physical or physically orientated discipline, it made it to where he is just very aggressive with the way he handles people. And then Bakugo, or Todoroki, my bad, Todoroki, he's too passive. He's someone that doesn't know how to speak with someone. So, I like that. I like how Horikoshi tried to show the examples of these two and how different they are and how their upbringing really affected their characters to this very date. It's nice characterization, and I truly respect Horikoshi for that. So, moving over into the other two, we have Inasa and Kami. So, Inasa, overall, from what we can see here, it's obvious that he probably has somewhat of a bad upbringing as well. There's probably something that still needs to be dived into with his character, which I do believe Horikoshi eventually will be doing. However, we do get to see that this man, he is truly a good person and deep down, because the way he talks to the children, it shows he is someone that can communicate with others and all that. But because of what he's done, he realizes, like, yo, how should I be disciplining these kids when I'm making the exact same mistake that they're currently doing? For instance, he is someone that's causing a lot more workload on the teachers, to the workforce, all that, the work offices, to be able to, you know, take this extra training, which in turn is not really a good example of being a hero. So I do like how the children kind of turned that over and made him realize what he's doing, and that he shouldn't be looking down on the children, trying to talk from a high horse like he's a big bad, you know, big hero and all that. I like that. It just shows that you cannot act like you're all, you know, big and all that when you're doing the exact same things kind of as how the kids are. And then Camie as well. Camie, I don't really know much about Camie. I don't really know how to actually talk about her, because we don't really know much about her past. There still needs to be a lot of details explained. However, Camie, I do like how she clearly, deep down, it seems like she's more of a child. She's on the level of a child. We see that because she's like, you know what? Let's just not try to talk with these kids. Let's just, you know, introduce ourselves through our quirks. I mean, obviously, that's what kids want to see. They want to see unique and interesting things, which makes a lot of sense. When I was a kid and I was, you know, trying to learn things, all that, I would love to see, you know, crazy stuff like quirks and stuff. If they were real, I'd love to see people shooting out fire, you know, stretching their arms or whatever. That would have been really cool. And so, Camie saying something like that, I think it was the most honest and childlike thing to say, but at the same time, it would fit with the atmosphere of these kids and probably what they want to see. So, I like the 4 characters and how basically Horikoshi tried to give them more characterization and explain why they act like they do. Now, let's talk about the children. Overall, the children, they're children. They're little snots, brats, and all that, and they need some form of discipline, which that is left to be said what they need. However, I do like the explanation of what the teacher said. The teacher basically stated that these children have closed their hearts. Their hearts are closed, and they're going down, like, the wrong path. That's basically what was being explained here, and let me kind of dive into that. Basically, what's going on here is something is not done for these children. If they're not put back on the right track, they could eventually turn into villains. And that makes a lot of sense. I do like the analogy here when it was stated that, you know, earlier on when children are very young, or when people are very young, their personalities are formed at a young age. For instance, in elementary or whatever, or even earlier than that. Depending on what you see, what you go through, really changes the individual. And that's a very, very powerful message there, which basically says once you get into, like, middle school or high school, you can't really correct that issue anymore. If they're like Bakugo, if they act like Bakugo while they're in high school or middle school, you're most likely not going to be able to correct that like that. You're not going to be able to. And that's what was trying to be shown there, that these children, they need to be given a proper example. They need to be given a good example what it means to be a hero. And if they're not, they will go down their own rocky, shaky path, and probably they could either wind up being a villain or being something like Bakugo or Todoroki, which they're good people, yes, in their own way, but you don't want to end up like them because of their upbringing. So, that's basically what the teacher is trying to say, that they need to have a good example, a symbol, so to say. They need to have a symbol to make them want to act like good children. So, that's what that was going on there. That was the point and the message of that and what the teacher is trying to say. So, next thing to talk about, I guess let's talk about the designs of the children. So, overall, the designs of the children, I think they're very unique. I mean, it's typical Horikoshi to give, you know, individual characters, new characters, even background characters, and even fodder characters, very unique designs, and all the children have very unique designs, and even the quirks we saw, loved the quirk designs. Oh, man, like, I love the cannon out of the mouth, I love, like, the ring things coming out of that one girl, I love seeing, like, how you have the little chain shop stuff from Mario, like, floating around the one boy. There's just some really cool stuff overall we saw, and it just, once again, shows the excellent work of Horikoshi and how he constantly showcases this great artwork and character design with many characters he introduces, and I do hope that these children are not just there to be there, like they will be reoccurring characters, because a lot of their designs, it would actually be very upsetting to see them not used, because these designs are really cool for the children. They should definitely be around for a while. Speaking of design-wise, though, let's talk about 2 characters I was reminded of when I saw certain, you know, children in this chapter. We saw a boy that looked like Fat Gum, and then we saw another boy that looked like Tetsu Tetsu. So, I wonder if they're related at all. I wonder if one is related to Fat Gum and one is related to Tetsu Tetsu. I'm very curious about that. I wonder if Horikoshi is going down that path. But, I'm going to end the video here. Overall, it was a very good chapter. I think many can agree with me that it was an amazing chapter. It gave a lot of details on a lot of characters, and it's set up for certain things in the future with some of these characters. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. Love you guys. If you want to get notified for when I upload videos, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button down below, because it does help me out, and there's many times when I upload videos and people tell me they don't get notified for when I upload. So if you're one of those people, click the bell icon. Now, if you don't care to do it for me, at the very least do it for channels you care about, because it will help them out a lot. So love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Happy holidays. Chibi out.